Hello and welcome back to Shatter, the podcast where we discuss all things sports. I'm Allyson Park, and joined with me are my co-stars Jaya Williams and Amber Williams.
Hello, guys. How are y'all doing today?
So we're doing pretty good. How about you? So today we're going to be discussing three main topics. So first of all, Amber is going to talk a little bit about the Stanley Cup Final. I'm going to give an update on the NBA Finals, and Jaya is going to talk about the Wimbledon results. We've got a full schedule today. How are you guys feeling?
I'm ready to get into it.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. There's a lot going on in the sports world, a lot of things kind of coming to a conclusion. It's kind of crazy that, all these seasons are coming to an end. We're entering that drought period, the dreaded drought period.
I feel like the Olympics are definitely going to help with my little bit of sports withdrawal for some of these.
Yeah, I'm so excited for the Olympics, but we're going to steer away from the Olympics talk for a little while because we just did 2 episodes on the Olympics. So we're going to talk a little bit about the finals and playoffs that are happening right now in different sports. So Amber, I think you're first. Take it away.
Yeah, so anybody who follows hockey knows that the Lightning are the 2021 Stanley Cup champions. They are back-to-back. They won last year as well, taking the COVID season by force. And they are the first to have this feat since the Penguins and the 2016 and 2017 seasons. So the Lightning, they won in 5, taking the series with the Cup 4-1. On July 7th, the Lightning won 1-0 to secure the greatest trophy in sports, in my opinion. Andrei Vasilevsky won the Conn Smythe Trophy to become the MVP of the playoffs, very rightfully so. So this is actually, I don't know if you guys know anything about this award, but it's actually not just for the specific series of the Stanley Cup playoffs, but for the entire postseason. And he is the 17th goalie to win this award since 2012, when the LA Kings' Jonathan Quick won the Stanley Cup. Did you guys want to add anything about how you saw this series going?
I don't really have any additions. I would just like to ask you, as someone who is like a hockey person, what do you think made this person deserve to get that award more than others? Like, what made him stand out to you?
Yeah, so I saw it going between him, Vasilevsky, and Nikita Kucherov. So Braden Point, I know he led all the players with 14 goals, but Kucherov, he led overall with 32 points. So I saw him as the main contender for the title with Vasilevsky. But if we look at the series that Vasilevsky had, he had 5 shutouts in the playoffs, 1 for each round of competition. And in Game 5, he actually ended the finals with a shutout as well. He's an incredible goalie. And if any goalie was going to get it in the recent years, it has to go to him.
Okay,
and again, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, it's an interesting point that you make that I think goalies are some of the most overlooked athletes in any sport that they're in. I mean, you don't really pay attention to the skills of goalies, but when you have a good goalie, that makes the whole team. So I think that the fact that this award went to a goalie this year is awesome.
I always say, I feel like for hockey, and you can go even with this into soccer, when a goalie gets hot, they're like a brick wall. Nothing's going to go past them, and that's usually the key of why a team will win. But anyways, to get back to this series and to recap how amazing this Lightning team is, they almost pulled off a complete sweep, which is what I think a lot of people saw happening because the Canadians were such underdogs. They just thought the Lightning were going to go in and completely wipe them away. But instead, we had in Game 4, we had an overtime win for the Habs with Josh Anderson scoring to force this 5th game. But of course, the Lightning came out victorious, and they have now won this trophy 3 times, the first being in the 2003 and 4 season, and then of course last season as well. I wanted to add this fun little story. So we all know how incredible the celebrations can be with any trophy, and the Stanley Cup is no different. The players go absolutely wild with it. Well, the Lightning have now dented the Stanley Cup during their celebrations yesterday.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. The general manager said the cup was dropped and jokingly said that it sustained an upper body injury while the player was showing it to a fan. So the cup is actually headed to Montreal, who they were competing against to win this cup, ironically. And that is where it's going to be fixed up. And this is actually not the first time that this has happened. I researched this because I was like, it's kind of wild. Who's trying to ruin this amazing trophy? but it's actually been damaged 5 times since it began being
Oh,
awarded.
wow.
Yeah, the earliest time it ever got a ding was back in 1905. But we know the Hardy Trophy will be okay. It's taken this before. So I just wanted to know, like, what did you guys think of this run? And did you have anything specific that you remember from watching this that you wanted to point out?
Honestly, first of all, might I say they should just keep the dent. It's gonna get dented again, and honestly, it makes it that much more special and like memorable. I feel like the dent is a symbol of their hard work and their just joy, and it's just gonna get dented again. I feel like the dent is iconic. Keep the dent, save the dent. We should start a movement. We should start a hashtag on Twitter, hashtag save the dent. But going back to the series, honestly, the Canadians really disappointed me in this series. I thought they were going to perform a lot better, especially them losing their first home game back at the Bell Center. That was their first game when they had, was it game 3, I believe? That they had their coach back. As you guys know, their head coach was gone for a lot of the series because he had COVID. So he had to quarantine for 2 weeks and wasn't even able to be there. And the Canadians went home. Their coach was back for the first time. And I really thought that in itself was going to be enough motivation for them to really go out there and bring it. And they totally blew that game. I was so shocked. I mean, they did win the next one, so I was glad to see that it wasn't a complete sweep and it was a little bit challenging for the Lightning. I think the Lightning's just an insanely talented team. They're just the more talented, more skilled team in this case. But I was hoping to see a little bit more fight from the Canadians.
Yeah, anybody who's been following anything I've done along with Sports 2.0, I was constantly talking that I thought this was Montreal's year. I thought they were going to take it. But they're just incredible. I mean, props to them. They're an amazing team. They 100% deserve the cup this year.
And it's so much more impressive that they have achieved back-to-back Stanley Cup wins. Like, that is so difficult to do in any sport. And hockey is one of the hardest sports, in my opinion, as well. So to win that back-to-back, and last year being the pandemic year as well, that's just an incredible feat of adaptability and grit and perseverance. So I think it's crazy, and I'm really happy for them.
Yeah, they've faced so much adversity to win this, and it's absolutely amazing. But let's move on now to the NBA Finals. Allyson, can you give us an update?
Yes. So as you guys know, the NBA Finals are in full swing. Game 4 is tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so make sure to tune in for that. But the Phoenix Suns and Milwaukee Bucks are currently on their 4th game, as I just said, with the Suns leading 2-1. And I personally was very surprised at the Bucks win last game. I thought it was kind of crazy since the Suns had kind of been dominating the series up to that point, but they won by 20 points that game, which is crazy. But let's talk a little bit about the first 2 games. So in the first 2 games, the Suns took both of those by a margin of over 10 points. But game 3, like I just said, the Suns took the game by about 20 points. So I personally thought the Suns would kind of take it in 4. But I think the Bucks are proving me wrong, and they performed really well in Game 3, and I'm excited to see what they have in store for us so they can continue to maintain that momentum and try to get some points on the board for tomorrow's game. But so many players in the series have been performing incredibly, including Chris Paul and Devin Booker and Giannis. I can never pronounce his name right. I feel really bad. Giannis Antetokounmpo, I think is how you pronounce it.
Just say Giannis.
Antetokounmpo. Giannis. Okay, that's fine. But I don't know what you guys think. I think it's been a super fun series so far. I mean, this is a matchup no one was expecting, the Suns and the Bucks. Like, this is not a normal series in the NBA. A lot of star-studded teams had been kicked out very early in the series due to injury. I mean, injuries were prevalent in the playoffs this year to an insane level. But I think I was surprised by this matchup, but it's a lot of fun to watch for me. I thought it would be not too interesting, but every single game has really kept my attention, and they're very evenly matched. So I think this is going to be an incredible rest of the series. But what do you guys think about this?
Yeah, I think it's pretty shocking too. I mean, this has been such an unlucky season for the NBA. It's full of it's just so injury ridden. A lot of our star players and a lot of the teams we expected to see just didn't come this year, and the Bucks and Suns is definitely an ironic matchup. We haven't seen either of them in the finals for 4 decades, since like the 70s, late 70s, I believe, was the last time the Suns were in this championship. But that just gives an opportunity for them to make history and pave way for somebody else. I mean, it is a little bit refreshing to see some new faces out there on the court. I honestly was not surprised at all by the Bucks win. I know a lot of people were just expecting the Suns to sweep, but I knew that wasn't going to happen. In my pick of the day, way back before the game, I said that I was going to take the Bucks. Obviously, the stability of the Suns with all of their key players healthy, ready to play. They have CP3, they have Booker, they have Ayton. They have a really great advantage so far, but this time around, I knew that the Bucks were going to be at an advantage because they were playing at home. And you can see in those videos, the energy of those fans is crazy. That home court advantage in Milwaukee is just powerful for them. And Giannis has been playing great. He's been putting up 40-plus points 2 games in a row. If he keeps it up, he'll be at the same level as Michael Jordan, putting up 40 points in 4 consecutive games in the finals, which is possible for him. I think that's something that he definitely could do. Not that he's worried about that. I know he's just trying to make sure he wins the games and puts great numbers up for his team. But I don't know. I wouldn't count the Bucks out just yet. Do I think the Suns will ultimately win the finals? Yes, but people saying that they were just going to get swept, I think, was a bit of an underestimation. I think they're definitely still in this. And given Giannis's knee injury, his perseverance throughout these finals have been really commendable, if you ask me.
Yeah, I've got to go with Jaya on this one. I wrote a preview before the matchup started, and I said the Suns were going to take the first 2 games, but then when you have that home court advantage with the Bucks, when they're coming back for Game 3, I said they were going to win it in Game 3. But my ultimate pick is that the Suns are going to win Game 4 and the series.
Yeah, and they were in that position with the Nets where they were down 2-0. So they had done it in the past. I knew they were going to do it again.
Yeah.
As far as this next game, though, do you guys have any predictions for tomorrow night's game?
I think this is a hard one. I don't know. Because when you're coming off of a big win, a big series win like that, you can either maintain that momentum and just explode on the court and just kill it, or you can get cocky and kind of not perform as well as you hoped that you would. So I think it could go. I think it's going to be super close. It's going to go either way. I mean, the Bucks are going to have all that energy from their win, and they're going to be excited and pumped, and we're still in the game, which is awesome. I think I'm going to still take the Suns for Game 4. I think just the way they've been playing lately, the talent is just crazy, and they're a very talented team. And the Bucks, I think, are still contenders in this, but I would agree with you guys and say that I think the Suns will take Game 4 and the entire series.
Yeah, I agree. It's got to be the Suns. I know it's not going to be easy, of course, because we talked about that Bucks home court advantage, and the atmosphere is intimidating. But now the Suns, they have something to prove. And regardless of how on fire Giannis is, I see that Game 4 going to the Suns.
Yeah, I can see where you guys are coming from for sure. They do still have that home court advantage, as you just mentioned, Amber. I don't even know how I feel. I wouldn't completely count the Bucks out. I feel like people have been underestimating them a lot.
Yeah, that's true for sure.
Yes, I do think they've been very underestimated, and rightfully so. When you look at the 2 teams, we have one team of healthy, ready to go players. They were much more well rested coming into the finals because they had ended their series a lot earlier. The Bucks were still having to take care of the Hawks over the weekend, so they didn't have as much rest time. That was a disadvantage. Giannis was hurt. That's a huge disadvantage. Meanwhile, they have Devin Booker being an amazing shooter. They have CP3, and everybody's in good health. So I see why everyone's going with the Suns. But I think that the Bucks, being the underdogs here, they can kind of use that to their advantage, because when people underestimate you, it kind of just makes it – you have more to prove, and it makes it all the more satisfying. So should they win this next game, I think it will be very, very satisfying for them and their fans, especially at home. But with that being said, I am still going to go with the Suns with you guys because it is the logical, most realistic answer. However, I would love to see the Bucks just prove everybody wrong and win another one and make this series even more interesting, tie it up, create a little bit more drama. Either way, they're still going to have to play a lot more games, but I think it would be a lot more fun if the Bucks won the next one as well. Not that if I were to put money on it, I would definitely put my money on the Suns over the Bucks. However, I'm still rooting for the Bucks. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
I don't know if it makes any sense, you guys.
No, I definitely think this series is not over yet. I think it's going to be full of surprises and twists and turns. So I'm just super excited to see how it plays out. And I think that no matter who wins, both teams really, really deserve the win. So whichever team wins, I'll be so happy for them. It'll be a well-deserved win. But yeah, I think this is one of the most exciting NBA finals I've watched in a long time. So I'm very excited to watch the rest of it play out personally.
Either way, it's history. It's history being made. And I think it's what's also really interesting about these athletes is that on both sides they have something to prove. Chris Paul and Giannis have both been criticized for never getting a ring or never going to the championship, blah blah. To be one of the greats, they want to see you in the finals. They want to see you having a championship ring. So for either one of them, this will be a huge moment. I mean, even being in the finals at all, but winning a ring will be a huge moment for their careers, and it will kind of shut up some of their haters. So that's another thing that I think is hard is I don't know which all-stars I want to see get a ring, because I feel like Giannis deserves a ring. Like, I feel like it will just really shut up a lot of his haters, and I know he wants to do that for the Bucks. He's the face of that franchise, and I know those fans are just so passionate, and it would just be crazy in Milwaukee should he get a ring. But on the other end, Chris Paul he's been around for so many years.
That's a long time.
He's Devin Booker, all those guys, they're amazingly talented, but they're younger. So, they have a lot more development. They have a lot more. But Chris Paul is really a big reason why their dynamic on that team works so well. And he really has been like kind of the heart and soul of the Suns, a great ball facilitator, and he has great relationships with everyone on that team. I think he really deserves to get a ring too. So I feel like either way, I'll be happy for somebody and sad for somebody else. But between the star players on the Bucks and the star players on the Suns, who would you guys think would be more satisfying to see them finally get their championship ring?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say it right now that this is not the year Giannis is getting his ring. I really don't see that. It's not going to happen. Yeah. I think he deserves it just as much as anybody else. He definitely needs a ring. I think he'll get one in the future, but it's not going to happen this year. So for me, even though I think that would be the more satisfying one if we see him getting it, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I think that the whole age thing that you brought up is a big factor in this finals. I would love to see Chris Paul finally get that ring because, like you said, he's been around for much longer than most of these guys. He's a veteran player, and everyone knows his name, but there's one thing missing. And I think it'll be a really, really emotional, really, really touching moment if he ends up winning the series because that's kind of the last little box to check off for him. He's done everything else, right? So winning this finals, I think, would mean so much to him. Especially as an older player, whereas younger players like Giannis, like you're saying, certainly are deserving of the championship, but have much more playing time ahead of them, whereas that might not be the case for Chris Paul. So I personally really hope to see Chris Paul finally win that championship. But if we see the Bucks take it, I'm going to be happy for them as well.
Yeah, I like that point. Honestly, I really can't get mad at either of these results. I wasn't expecting to see either of these teams in the series. So at this point, I'm kind of just enjoying the ride and just kind of watching and seeing what happens. I think it'll be a really great moment for either team. I think should Giannis somehow pull this off with, obviously has Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, all his other guys, but should the Bucks somehow pull this off and beat the Suns, I think that will be one of the most satisfying wins for them ever, especially because of how doubted they are. Do I think that will happen? No, probably not. I think it's definitely the Suns' year, like you guys said. And they've had just an amazing dynamic throughout this entire playoff series. So it will be cool to see. And, you're right. Giannis he's still young. He's going to have lots of opportunities. Not that Chris Paul is retiring tomorrow or anything. But, there will be other opportunities for both teams. I think it definitely will be interesting once all of our star players that we're used to seeing are all healed up for next season, what should happen. But yeah, like you said, either way, it's just going to be fun to watch. It's just going to be entertaining to see what happens with these guys, see where the series goes. I think everybody is just kind of having fun with it at this point because none of us thought we would be here. So yeah, that's where we're at.
It's just great to watch some good basketball between two great teams. It's been so enjoyable, and I can't wait to see where it goes. So that's it for the NBA. So we're going to head over to Jaya now, and she's going to give us an update on the Wimbledon competition.
Yes, tennis. So Wimbledon, we have two winners in the single divisions. For women's, we have Ash Barty from Australia. Her runner-up was Karolina Pliskova. And for the men's, the winner was Novak Djokovic. He was a winner from Serbia. I think it was really interesting to see what happened with this competition. Obviously, Serena Williams had to drop out for her leg injury, which is really unfortunate. Just a lot of injuries going on in the sports world this whole season across a lot of different sports. But I don't know. Have you guys heard about some of these scandals going on with Wimbledon? Apparently, at least 2 matches are under investigation, according to German news sources, allegedly for being fixed. The investigation was launched after multiple very specific and suspicious bets were being taken place surrounding matches during the tournament a little bit earlier in July. According to those sources, suspicions were raised over the first round's men's doubles match, which is the one that Novak Djokovic ended up winning. There were large bets placed against a favored duo at irregular times, and the pair ended up winning the first set, and that increased the odds that they would be defeated. However, the tandem ended up losing the next 3 sets. So the second match allegedly is focused on the opponents of a German player in the singles match, and after the second set, there were very high bets being placed on the same exact score of third bets and prop bets surrounding a number of service games, and they ended up coming into fruition a little bit later on. So the International Tennis Integrity Agency has been they haven't released any information surrounding the investigations, but an investigation is taking place, and there's been 34 different reports over these strange matches since January. So this isn't the first time that this has happened, but yeah, it's just a little suspect. It's a little weird what's going on. I don't know if that's going to affect the results of some of these winners. Have you guys heard anything about this, or do you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I heard a little bit about it, and I think it's that's the thing about sports betting is I feel like it makes everything a little bit more sketchier when money is involved and switching hands. It's wonderful and it's a super fun way to get involved in sports. But then we have situations like this. What is raising my eyebrow is the fact that this has been looked at since January. Okay, Wimbledon's been going on now. Why are we just hearing of this? Why wasn't this investigated beforehand? And why was it if it is what's taking place, why was it allowed to go on so long?
Right. It's very sketchy altogether. And that is the tricky thing about sports betting. Anytime there's money involved, these things happen. But it doesn't seem like things are really being cracked down upon. I mean, what's the point of opening all these cases if they're never really going to come to a conclusion? And I get it. I mean, the legal side's probably messy and you have to have proof and get evidence, and those things take time. But I'm just curious as to like what's really going to come out of all these cases if they haven't even resolved something that happened in January. I don't see when they're going to be able to figure out what's happened just a week or two ago in July.
Yeah, I think it's definitely strange. You know, it's not something that was really on my radar. And then when I heard about it, I was like, I guess stuff like that would happen in sports betting. It's really weird to me. Like, it's a weird, like you said, shady situation. And I'm still so, like Amber said, I'm surprised we hadn't heard about this earlier. If it's been going on since the beginning of this year, like, shouldn't people be made more aware of it? And Wimbledon is obviously a huge deal. So what are they planning on doing? I'm just curious. I don't know what the plan of action is, what the investigation is going to be like. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the thing about it is usually we see match fixing happening at the lower levels of tennis where prize money is a lot lower. Players don't really have sponsorships yet and stuff like that. And even for those competing in the Grand Slam, though, the financial incentive for losing a match might be more than to continue competing for the $1 million, however much prize, you know. So I don't know. It's a lot. I was kind of surprised to see all of this. I know, like Wimbledon, obviously we have champions, and that's great. But a lot of the news surrounding Wimbledon has been kind of negative for 2021. There's all of this going on. Obviously, there's this whole disaster with Serena Williams and people questioning Indigenous struggles and stuff like that with Ash Barty. So I'm just kind of, I don't know. I'm kind of taken aback because I was expecting it to be a much more positive kind of thing.
Yeah, and I hate to see it. Like, I love tennis. It's one of my favorite sports. Like, it's something I played in high school and something that I enjoy watching. So seeing something so negative around Wimbledon is just, it's really sad.
Yeah, you feel like it's taking away from the attention that the athletes and their performance should be receiving. So everyone's paying attention to the bad things, the negative things, and while those things should still, be covered, people should still pay attention to it. That's not what Wimbledon is all about. It's about the performance of certain tennis players in one of the greatest tennis tournaments in the world. So when you have scandals like this and other scandals that happen before, during a major sporting event, it really takes away from enjoying that and putting the spotlight where it belongs, which is on these athletes and their performances.
Yeah, and then that's going to have Ash Barty and Novak Djokovic. Like, let's say they weren't involved in it at all. Like, they had nothing to do with any of the fixing, but maybe their person they were competing against did. It's nothing they did, but they could see, I don't know what they're going to try to do, but like, what if their title gets taken away because of the sketchiness surrounding this match? Like, it's horrible, especially if they had nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Right. And like you guys said, all of this is just taking away from the talent of the athletes. There was another kind of scandal, you might say, with Ash Barty. I don't know if you guys heard about this one, but there's been some uproar over the detail in the photo of her. Basically, people are calling for Wimbledon to change their outdated tradition, highlighted in a photo of Ash Barty with her name etched onto the Wimbledon Championship board. Essentially, they only write the last names of the husbands. So if your name is, like for Gulen Cowley's triumph in 1980, her name is written as Mrs. R. Cowley. Basically, when you get your name etched onto this championship board, your name is going to be your husband's name. So for Goolagong Cowley, her name is written on that board as Mrs. R. Cowley for Roger Cowley, who's her husband. And basically, Ash Barty didn't want to she wanted to have her name, Ash Barty, on there. And a lot of people are calling for that. They think it's an outdated, old tradition, and women should be able to be honored for their talent. Because Roger wasn't the one hitting all these balls and winning the championship. So why is he being recognized and not their name? For me, honestly, I am shocked this is still a thing. When I read about this, I was like, are you, like, what is this, the 50s? Like, I'm just not understanding that this is still a thing. So I totally understand the uproar, but again, just more negative attention going towards not the talent of these tennis players. So I want to know what you guys thought about this, and if you think that the uproar over it is valid.
Absolutely.
I want to get this straight a little bit. I want to see if I'm understanding this because I hadn't heard of this story. Are you saying that, okay, so Ash Barty, she can't have Barty? Is that her married name or is that her maiden name?
So Barty, I'm not sure, but it's more about the first name. So, like, okay, let's say you, Amber Williams, let's say you're married to John. If you win this championship, it's going to say Mrs. John Williams.
Okay, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's not going to say champion Amber Williams. It's going to say Mrs. John Williams is the champion of this on the board.
Okay, so see, I didn't even
know what crazy about.
I didn't even comprehend what you were saying because that is so out there.
Like what?
There's no way that's like a thing. Like when you're saying that, I was like, wait, are you saying that like I don't know?
No, I wish it was a joke. That's why when I was like, this has got to be like some sort of sick joke. Like, are we in the 30s? I just don't understand.
The husband's name should not be on there at all. It is literally
he did nothing. He did absolutely nothing.
I find that absolutely ridiculous. I can't believe that's still a thing. I can't even begin to go into what that it reduces a female athlete and her accomplishments to someone's wife. Like, oh, she's just someone's wife who like happened to do this. No, she's a person who happened to do this amazing thing. Let her own name be on the trophy, not her husband's name. Her husband did nothing.
Her husband's not on the
I'm so tired of seeing this in the media. How many times have we seen, not even just with athletes, this is just a thing across the board. When somebody does something, it's his wife. Like, there are articles out there that are like Jay-Z's wife. Yeah. That is Beyonce. What are you talking about? Like, I don't understand why we need to still credit husbands to women's individual separate accomplishments as if they're still men's properties like back in the day. We're so far beyond that. It is 2021. She accomplished that on her own. That was her hard work. It was her grit. It was her determination to get there. And it was her skill. So her name should be etched on that championship board. I don't care what Roger did. Roger was sitting in the stands supporting his wife probably, as he should. But was he on the court in the skirt hitting those balls? No. So why does Roger get to be on the name? No.
And here's the thing is, I don't feel like most husbands would want that in this century. Like,
right?
To me, like,
right.
It's so horrible.
Clearly, Wimbledon's just got a lot of things going on. Wimbledon just needs to get their ish together because they've got these betting issues. The tennis associations has to investigate all 34 different cases of betting issues and fraud or whatever it may be. They've got men's names on the championship board that didn't do diddly squat. Like, I'm not understanding what's going on. And I, like you guys said, I just want to watch some great tennis players do what they do best and excel in their sport and excel at their craft. I think this kind of news is just you just kind of have to laugh at it because it's so ridiculous that it's, getting more attention than the actual winners of this match.
Yeah, Wimbledon has got some issues. They need to fix that so that we can actually all enjoy like tennis at its highest level without having to worry about this drama that's behind it.
Right.
So much in such a small amount of time. It's kind of overwhelming.
Yeah.
Right. So I hope that by getting all of this, uproar from fans and people looking at that, I hope that they make a difference because, and if you guys were wondering what it says for Cowley, it's marked as Mrs. J.M. Lloyd for her former husband, John Lloyd. So she's not even still married to the guy. They're not even still together. That is the other thing. Like, so you're telling me if I'm a single woman and I was once married, you're gonna put my ex-husband's name, who I probably hate because we got divorced, and he's not even there supporting me anymore. You're gonna put his name? I will be damned if my ex-husband's name. I train all these hours and that's the name I see on the board? Absolutely not.
Because it lowers the value of the trophy for them if that's what they're doing. Like, nobody wants to see their ex's name on a trophy that they earned. What is that?
Right. So props to Cowley for putting up with this nonsense. Props to all of these women on the board putting up with this BS. Like, if you look at this photo of the board, it's just insulting. It's like Mrs. this, Mrs. that. Absolutely not.
No, just
my name is Jaya Williams, your name is Amber Williams, and your name is Allyson Park. And should we ever achieve something as amazing as a Wimbledon championship or whatever it may be, I would like to see our names.
Exactly. It's so invalidating. I can't imagine being in that position. And they're like, by the way, we're going to put your husband's name on the trophy. Like, excuse me? Like, the disrespect is insane. This is 2021. We're not in the 1930s. I can't believe this is still going on. And I can't believe this is the first time I'm hearing about it.
Like, that's literally insane. And it might, like, this is a whole another conversation, but like, I already have an issue with the whole distinction between Mrs. and Miss. And so just going into this.
That is a whole nother thing. We could sit here and talk about all day. But yeah, I did want to bring attention to that. I know we're kind of playing into the not paying attention to the success of tennis players. But I mean, come on, you guys. We have to talk about this. It's just ridiculous.
Big problems.
Yes, but props to the winners of the Wimbledon matches. I commend their talent, their effort, their hard work. And I hope to see changes within the entire event as far as betting goes, and hopefully these cases get investigated and get solved quickly, and hopefully we can see some women's names on that board in the coming years. But until then, I guess they've got to get their ducks in a row. I don't even know.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy to think about, honestly. So we covered everything we'd wanted to. Do you guys have any final closing thoughts before we end this episode?
No, it's a great time in sports right now. A lot of things coming to fruition with everything ending, and I'm excited to see who's going to take this NBA Finals.
Yeah, I agree with that. So thank you so much for watching and or listening wherever you're watching or listening. Make sure to subscribe to the Sports 2.0 Network on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. And we will see you guys next week for episode 5.